to my YouTube channel. My name is Da. I am an artist, designer, a whole lot of other things, which is why you should follow me on Instagram because I have so many Instagram accounts and so many things in my bio. This video is going to be a long video because I have a lot of things to talk about and they are mostly personal. Unlike my previous videos that are just me telling you lessons and things that I've seen and overcome, this time I want to tell you a lot about myself. So this is probably a pick my brain video and how I write myself in, which is basically a fancy way of saying how I make intentional choices and what kind of choices I make. I hope you enjoy. I hope this is useful. Please watch to the end. If you noticed from my last video, there was a bit of lag at the end. And because this video is going to be long, I really pity for my phone storage. Because if you don't know, I record my videos on my phone. And I record them using Snapchat. Why? I cannot deal with the back camera. I don't know how to not see myself because I don't want to waste 40 minutes recording a video and it's all trash. So recording on Snapchat saves a lot of space. The main motivation for this video is my hair because I just washed my hair. And if you haven't seen me in some years, or if you just haven't seen me in a relaxed state, because I have no problem wearing my hair out. However, I'm not very comfortable with short hair. Like if I can't feel the hair like mid back or waist length, I am not comfortable at all. But I'm able to wear short hair when I'm at home. I like long hair. It's just like a veil, really. I was one of those children that growing up I would use sweater and my mom's scarf to like tie my hair and do like this. So long hair is always been my thing. So I don't like going out with short hair unless I'm putting my hair up. I like to put my hair up. I like that. So I do that sometimes. And it just reminded me of how I felt when I was about to start my locks. And this is part of writing yourself in. So in case we both don't forget. When I wanted to start my lock journey, I had a lot of intentions. First of all, my hair was already long. I don't know, the natural progression of my hair after locking it looks like I got a butterfly cut or something. Let me show you the back. This is in the middle. Uh, but yeah, my hair is about mid back length stretched. So I was already thinking that I do want my hair to grow. In fact, I don't want to ever cut my hair. That is one of the things that I've decided in my life. Although I have a story behind that, the time that I was literally being threatened that I have to cut my hair unless somebody is going to cut their support, offering me support. Which supports is literally the list of things that you can offer to somebody that you look after or you can claim to love or care for. Wanting somebody to become smaller so that they're easy for you to control is not much love, neither is it much support. But ever since I've been independent and free and able to take care of myself, I decided that I'll never cut my hair. Here's where the problem comes in because I was taking care of my hair. The only problem was once in a while when I go to the salons, they would mess up my hair. Every time I went to the salon, I lost hair. I lost length. It was terrible. Many times I paid people for doing nonsense on my hair. And I decided that I don't want to go this way anymore. I decided that I would get starter locks. Starter locks are usually like twist or coils or whatever. And I paid for a session. It was a bit expensive, but not too much. I paid and I was thinking about after I paid, I started thinking about the things that would happen if I get locks. What would people say? What would the people close to me say? What are the stereotypes attached to locks? Would I look good in locks? So many things. Would I be okay with locks? Because I paid for that session, and because of my fears, what are people going to say? Am I going to be ostracized? Am I going to be stigmatized? I had to beg the person and say, please, I'm sorry. I really don't have the courage to lock my hair for the rest of my life. Please, can I have my money back? And that was like a week, or like at least a week to 4 days before the appointment. So she was very nice. She sent me my money back. She sent me my money back. I was not satisfied because the problem is still there. That's why learning how to make my own hair, it is still not easy. It is still not painless. It was a struggle. Long story short, I was so tense one night. I found out that you could do your micro locks using the sister lock method, which is locking from the root to the tip. I have almost 300 individual locks, and I locked them all myself in one night. I had enough. It was enough. But here's the thing: I have a voice in my head when I lack courage to do something good for myself, something beneficial. That I have a voice in my head that says, absolutely not. Are you scared? No, absolutely not. Even though I'm scared, even though I'm scared to do something good or make a decision, I have a voice in my head that says, what is the alternative? And then the voice says, no, no, because how am I going to continue the next 5 years of my life knowing that my hair is the same length and I'm miserable and angry about the money that I spend on my hair? And I said, no, what's the better option? And I think to myself that, you know what, maybe I don't have anybody to look towards as reference, as this is somebody in my family that has luck. So this is somebody that I know that is decent. And there's so many negative stereotypes to having luck. And I said, you know what, I don't need those examples. I know myself. I know what I want. It's not going to be overnight magic that if I have locks, I would start behaving a certain way. And I say, I would do what's best for myself. I want my hair to grow. My goal is to get to like 30-inch or waist length at rest, not even stretched. Like I rest. And I calculated, I think I can get there in like the next 10 years. I mean, this is locks. Your hair goes really fast in locks. Your hair goes really fast when you leave it alone, especially. And this is the best way to leave your hair alone. Although I still end up manipulating and doing styles because I love long hair. So I still do like braids on it or like fox locks. I put fox locks over my real locks. I am sorry. But I decided this is what I want and I put my feet down and I really do face criticism. I really do face people telling me, why do you look your hair? You look strange. Are you this? Are you that? Why this? I have decided that, whatever it is that you say that you have to say, that is good for you. I will always do what's best for me. I have this friend and he's one of those holistic belief people. And she will say, the Bible verse that says, do not have any other God before me is not only referencing God, but it's also referencing you. Because many parts in the Bible, according to my friend, says that yeah, our gods and God really talks about his divinity through us, blessing us, giving us power. And when he says, yeah, our gods, he's giving us a lot of power, like self-belief, power to make changes, trample upon serpent and scorpions, but really power to establish yourself. You always have the grace. In fact, it's raining. I hope it doesn't get to my video. God has given us the strength to establish ourselves. It is okay for you to desire more, for you to want more. There are many places in the Bible. I will try to put them in the video that reference asking God for things, establishing yourself, planting seeds, improving your finances, improving your stock, your warehouse, your oil well, your flour, whatever that the Bible uses to replace your well-being. In fact, one of the verses that I know that I really appreciate is that, beloved, I wish thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospereth. I like that it says prosper 2 times because it's not just your soul. Your soul is good, but God is also aware of the word. I think people forget that because many extremists Christian extremists forget that God knows about this every word. He knows that we have needs within clothes. Even in one of Jesus' sermons, he mentions about being concerned about what you eat, what you wear, and he says, don't worry, I know. I know truly that you want a lot of things. And it really goes to show concern and it really goes to show that, whatever it is that you have as a desire in your mind, God's probably aware of you. And it's not against it. I wish Christians would know that God wants us to be better and wealthy and do well. But basically, my friend says that, God also wants you to have authority in the physical world. Authority about your hairstyle choices, the clothes that you wear, how you carry yourself. Basically, you're not born to be oppressed and controlled for the rest of your life. You have the right, even in Christ, to set yourself apart and say, I don't want this. I don't want to leave. And that really enforces me to continue to make very personalized choices in my life. Not only about my hair, not only about the way I think, what I pursue, my passions, but also really the fact that God allows you to have desires. Many times in the Bible, even in things that don't specify, it says, write the vision and make it plain. That's so ambiguous. Your vision could be anything. And really, it is good for you to keep in mind that God is open to whatever you have to present. One thing that Christian extremists also say is that you can't question God. You can't ask God for anything. You can't tell God, you can't present things to God. And I disagree strongly with this. When I was younger, I used to attend these tutorials, this lecture, and I had a teacher that was teaching us Christian religious studies for an exam, and he says it was teaching about the topic of prayer and different types of prayer, and he says some people pray for stupid things. Some people ask God for stupid things. While I will not deny that some things may sound absurd or so obvious, do not ask God for anything, even if it is ridiculous. Ask God for anything. So don't limit yourself to what people say it's okay to ask or pray for. People are not God. You can ask people for reasonable things and get denied. People are not God. God listens to your most ridiculous prayers. I don't know if I can share, but God has listened to many, so many of my own ridiculous prayers. Bible scholars, if you know this story, please drop in the comment section because I don't remember. There was a king in the Bible that God has sent a prophet and to tell him that he was going to die soon. And basically, that prophet prayed to God, and God added some years to his life. And there's a Bible verse by Jesus that says, "Which amongst you by worrying can add even a single day to the length of his life?" You can't. And it may seem absurd if you tell somebody that I'm praying to God to live longer. But you should keep in mind that God considers you. God is, even in the New Testament, it describes Jesus as compassionate. Compassionate. He sees you and he considers you. This is very important. So whenever you present your ideas to other people and they're like, this is absurd, this is ridiculous, I better rest. Remember that there is a God that considers you specifically. I cannot stress this enough. Specifically, like tailored to your needs. Specific. It is good to remember that. And this shows up many parts in the Bible. You have Esther, you have Naaman. I think his name is Naaman, where the king was about to make a degree and he went inside and said a little short prayer. God is not a human being that human laws are applied to. Just seek God in your own way and it works. I say this to remind you that it is okay for you to have desires. And desires is a big topic. It's a really big topic. I've become really personalized in my desires and what I want for my finances, for my skills, the places I want to go, the people that I want to meet, the friends I want to have. I'm very specific these days. And it did not always start like that, which is where I'll talk about the renewal. Born this way. I wasn't always like this. I didn't have like a mind that had a compass. I wasn't always like this. In fact, I grew up in a very restrictive and I don't know how to be kind about it, but I grew up in a place that strangles you, squeezes the life out of you in every way possible, whether the way conscious of it or not, intentional about it or not. And where that comes in is a desire. How do you open your mind? How do you see beyond what you've been told, beyond all the criticism, beyond all the verbal abuse, beyond all the things that your family or your street or your society deems is normal or deems it is the end? You should always keep in mind that the verdict of man is not the verdict of God. And sometimes it's hard to see beyond the limitations of your mind. There's this Bible verse that says, "Be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind." You have to be intentional about your mind and the direction it's heading to. You have to know that my mind can always be renewed. I can hope for better. And hope is not easy. It's not something you just sleep and wake up and get. It can happen like that, but I'm saying that there are some incidents that leads to hope, which is I don't know, but in this context, I'm using hope and desire a bit intertwined. You need exposure to have hope. What is exposure? How are you going to get exposure? You need to live where you are and go to the land I will show you. That is from the Bible anyway. But you have to leave that place and seek for better, even if you don't know that better exists, even if you don't know what it is you're looking for. You have to seek and say, even if you don't know what you're seeking for, but you have to check and be like, is there more out there? Is there, you have to look for, is there anything else out there? And best believe there are so many things out there. So many incredible things that your mind cannot even fathom out there. Please seek it out. Please seek exposure. And because visualization helps a lot. Some things you don't know are possible. Some things you don't even maybe you know it's possible. You don't see yourself there. You don't think you ever could. because none of your family has it. None of your friends, nobody has been able to achieve it. Nobody has gone that far. Nobody has ever. Sometimes just seeing another person do it helps you do it. There was this I think it's sort of like documentary or those people who share facts and they say, I'm sorry, I just get the knowledge and I forget all the details. I'm sorry. And they were talking about, the longest the fastest person in the world and they say far back in the I think in the late 90s, there was a limit for the fastest person in the world and it couldn't be broken for like a lot of years. Until one year, a man broke it. And since then, people have been breaking it. What happens is that once people are able to see that they can do something, the mind expands. It's like you unlock more rooms, things you didn't even think were possible with your mind or your body. But seeing somebody else be capable of it helps you aim for it, helps you visualize yourself in those shoes. While this is true and really, really good and has helped me in a lot of ways, I think that there are some very special people that do not need this visualization. And I say it because if you don't have a visual example, you should know that you're not doomed. Uh-oh. I say this because you shouldn't only limit what your mind is capable of by what you see. Many things can limit us. Growing up, I used to think what people called conscience is having a mean, degrading voice in your head, and I had that. I couldn't do anything without hearing a bunch of curse words in my head. And it was probably the environment that I grew up in, but I didn't think of it. I thought that was my good and bad conscience until I read some books, until I met people. You know what? In 2020, when I just started to paint, I was watching a video tutorial on YouTube, and it wasn't really, I don't know, the tutorial for me was just saying how paint works, just saying somebody else paints with it. Not that I wanted to paint that exact thing, and it was a man giving a tutorial on how to paint a flower. What stood out to me and a few others, because I commented and I saw some other people's comments, is that whenever this man made a mistake, he wouldn't say, "Oh my God, I fucked up." He didn't say, "Oh, we'll fix it later." He didn't. He would say, "Oh, that's fine. That can work." In my life, up till that point, I have never made a mistake and said, "Oh, that's fine. That can work." No, have I ever had me make a mistake and someone else tell me, it's fine. You don't know what that moment did for my mind. Like I had to take some time from a painting tutorial, which I wasn't even expecting that to be inside. I had to take some time and think about my life, you know? Not only I suppose your wealth, riches, and happiness or whatever. Sometimes peace comes with exposure. Some things you don't think exist because you've probably not been in the environment. You've probably never seen it. Comes with seeing other people experience it. But I don't want you to limit yourself to only what you see. Like I said, what you hear can be very limiting. What people say is very limiting. But now do not place a limit on your own mind by your visualization. So back to the very special people that I'm talking about. There are some very special people that do not need any form of visualization. In fact, me, I tell myself that no matter what I want, no matter how absurd it is, no matter how unseen it is, I know that the world is so big that this thing is possible, or this thing exists somewhere in the universe. If not in my country, in another country, if not in my continent, in another continent. And I have expanded my mind so much that if it doesn't even exist on this earth, on this dimension, it exists somewhere in the impossible, ridiculous multiverses. This specific thing that I want exists somewhere. And simply because it exists, or simply because it's possible, it will get to me. That is the height of my mind at this time. At this time, only at this time, because I'm always capable of better. But there's some very special people that don't even need that. In fact, they don't even care if it exists or if it's possible to exist, but they will stop at nothing. They will do their best to get what they want. And there was this footballer, I don't remember also. I am sorry. That shared his story, and it was from a rural place in Africa. And he didn't know any famous footballer, I didn't know any agencies, there were no stadiums, not even crappy stadiums. There was nothing. But he knew that this ball is what he wants to do for the rest of his life. At that point, I'm not even sure he cared about how much money footballer make or whatever the circumstances are. You just know that I want to be in a place where I'm doing this forever. and she stopped at nothing until he became an international footballer that we know him as. I think he's retired a long time ago. He's one of like the legends or something. But that is a vivid example of somebody who pulls things into existence. I don't think that's the right word for it, nor do I think alchemy. I don't know what it is, but there are some people that do not need any form of view. Do not need Pinterest mood board. I done mood board for like 2 years now, and it's been pretty good. But I'm doing a special experiment this year, which I will talk about by December because I started in January, and it's going. But I will tell you about it in December. But there are people that don't need Pinterest mood board. There's some people that don't even want to go to Monaco or Bali or whatever beach, but they just know that very soon they are going on a very relaxing vacation. The end. The end. They don't need pictures of the beach or who or how the money is going to come. I don't know how to explain for you, but there are some people with desire so strong that the drive is inevitable. The desire is so strong that they will work for it. They will do the physical thing and also. And if you're religious, you might say, "Oh, but life isn't only about the physical." Yes, thank you. But in many parts of the religion encourages you actively putting in the effort too. You try. You try. You try. Try it. Try it. Why not? And I understand that desire doesn't really come to everybody, and now we've removed the obstacle of visualization because you can achieve that by pure desire. And now let's talk about having no desire because I think I don't know if there's anybody more qualified to talk about the absence of desire more than I am. I'm very qualified to talk about what it's like to have zero will, zero desire to want nothing. Let me tell you a very personal story. I was in uni, I was heavily depressed and it got so bad that I was going through a very, very hard time. Going through a very hard time. I cannot really explain. Actively hard time. So the first time that I went to look for a psychiatrist, I went to seek a psychiatrist because it was very serious. I don't want to say too much. And I went to what should have been my first session, and she saw me, she spoke to me, normal therapy stuff. So she thought I would come for like counseling and therapy. So after she thought she was done with me. So she was giving me like a sort of assignment, and she said, when you come back next week, this same day, she wanted me to make a list of things that I wanted out of life. Mind you, I have been actively starving for months. I hadn't left the house for months. I wasn't even going to my classes. I had food and I did not eat. I barely got up from my bed. I didn't go out. I was swimming in it. And she wanted me to write things that I wanted out of life. And I told her there, I said, I'm sorry, ma. I really don't want anything. It's really hard to remember that session because I was emotional and she was emotional. It's really overwhelming to see somebody in a very difficult place. I couldn't come up with anything. In hindsight, because I've thought about that moment over the years, I really couldn't come up with anything. Not even something like do a SpongeBob marathon or eat a large bucket of popcorn. I didn't want anything. I just want elope. I didn't want anything at all. And it took a lot of time. It took a lot of time and a lot of work and also exposure to build up that desire. And in situations like that, where exposure doesn't mean connections or contracts or meeting rich people going to fancy places. Sometimes exposure is just seeing that, you can struggle and still be alive. Sometimes the exposure is just knowing that you can have a hard time and just be chill and still be here. You can have a hard time and eat breakfast and dinner. That is serious exposure. That was serious exposure for me at that time. You can just be chill. You can struggle and do things. And it really helped me at that time to see a lot of people who were struggling and still showed up because I didn't think both things were possible. I didn't think it was possible to. I just didn't think it was possible to feel away and still do amazing. Which is why I recommend exposure because these days we have the internet, we have the world in the palm of our hand. But amongst the good exposure, there's also negative ones. You have to be intentional about what you want, what you're exposing yourself to. I'm going to change my location because lights so bad. And just in case you're wondering how long it takes to make this video, know that I had to go get lights so that I can continue. It is very important for you to be intentional about the type of exposure that you want because as much as you will see good type, there will also be bad type. And if you are in a fragile state of mind, just know that as much as there are uplifting contents for mental health, there are lots of people that will encourage you to unalive. So do not seek those and be very conscious of those because they exist and they will find you. You have to be very intentional about seeking exposure. So for me at that time, exposure wasn't about connection or getting somewhere or bettering my business or having more finances. I just want to see people do ordinary things and realize that, I can be a functioning person in society too. And that was the first step to coming out of that place. Knowing that it takes a lot of time and it's hard to believe, from that place to where I currently am, for you to go through a hard time and say it's not that deep, it will pass. You have to believe that it will pass, even if it takes years. Life is truly going on and on and on, even though it feels at some point that it is over, or this is impossible, or this is the end. There's only the beginning sometimes. Lots of times it is only the very beginning. Now that we've cleared out exposure, because exposure goes both ways, and I think people misunderstand that. People don't include that because people feel like exposure is something that happens to you. You meet people, you're going to go somewhere, this and that. You can happen to exposure, you can put yourself out there for exposure. Putting yourself out there is exposure too. And many people are scared to put themselves out there. There's fear of being seen, fear of being perceived. If you are in a bad spot and you want to move, if you want to leave the place that you currently don't like physically, mentally, academically, financially, you have to be sane. You have to seek out good things that are in the direction of what you're looking for, and you have to move towards the direction of what you're looking for. You have to actively and intentionally move towards it. But some people, as much as they want good things to happen to them, they don't want to move towards good things. I don't know. Probably fear of being seen, fear I don't know what is scared of, but lots of time is usually shame, maybe embarrassment and pride. Sometimes fear is pride, sometimes, not always, because your fear is valid, but lots of times fear is pride. I had somebody that, I was talking to him like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do for yourself? Or what do you want to become? And they said, I want to be a musician, I want to do music, but I'm scared to start because people will laugh at me. I don't have a company, I don't have a record label. I'm not a celeb, nobody will play my music, people will just they laugh me. And I want to say that if you are scared of being mocked or being ridiculed, just know that people are already laughing at you. Just know. If you're in a place so bad that you think, I have to leave this place, before it's even entered your mind, you, the person, because comfort is very, very, it makes you sleepy. It's like a blanket. Before you notice, other people are already laughing at you. Funny thing is that people are already laughing at this person because he's jobless. And yes, I do have permission to share this because he has moved past this and he's doing things now. He's working in the direction of what he wants finally. But if you are scared of being ridiculed and laughed at, in fact, you don't even have to be embarrassing for people to laugh at you. You can be doing something very valuable, something very good, and people will laugh at you. In fact, there's a whole kind of humor dedicated to finding things that are not funny. It really exists. So just know that the more you try not to be cringe, the cringier you are. If you're scared of people mocking you for something that you think is shameful, we're already embarrassed for you. Everybody's embarrassed by your lack of confidence. Everybody is already shaming you because you don't have guts to try. People can see it. People can see it when, it's one thing to laugh at somebody that tries and fails, but when they're laughing, even in their laughter, they know that that other one that doesn't even try, I beg. Let's not even talk about that one because that one is so bad. We cannot even laugh about it. it is better for you to be really cold and you're moving in courage and the direction of what you want than for you to remain in the same place because of shame and stagnancy. And you know what? Specifically, if you're scared of being shamed by people you know, by friends, by family, not the entire world, not because you're doing something truly guilty or unlawful, if you're just scared of being ridiculed by your friends and family, you know that those are the people holding you back, limiting you, and they might be belittling you because those are the people that should support and encourage you. I don't have a lot of support and encouragement from people intimate to me. In fact, none of what I'm doing exists to them. And if you've watched any of my video, you already know that it doesn't matter to me because there's 8 billion people in the world. 5 to 10 people not agreeing with me, it's not. It doesn't even put a spec to that number. It doesn't even put a spec to that number. So in be confident in the resources of the world, or if you are religious, be confident in the all good nature of your God or the all compassionate. Just know that the world is big enough to accommodate you. Always believe that the world is big enough to accommodate you. Remember that. Remember that no matter how bizarre, no matter what abnormality, as you consider it, your talent or your skill is, just know that the world is so impossible, so random that you fit into that randomness. You fit just fine. You do. And speaking of not having encouragement or support or being afraid of ridicule or not having a visual example to look at, let me tell you my own story. I don't have a role model. I've never had a role model. Growing up in school, when it's write about your idol or celebrity or political figure you admire, or even a figure in your family that you admire, I've never had anybody that I found reliable enough, safe enough, or encouraging, or somebody that really sparks. I want to be like this person. I've never had that, not skill wise, not career wise, not finance wise, not even in the friends that they keep, the life that they live, not even the one I see with my two eyes. I've never had a role model, especially not in my intimate family. In fact, not only do I not have role models, I have, instead of role models, I have people that I don't want to be like because I've seen so much negative growing up in a negative environment where everything is problematic, everything is a big deal negatively. I have seen people that I don't want to be like, and I'm so intentional about this. And we also have to remember that as much as you pursue the things that you want, things that you like, you also have to be very intentional about the things that you don't want and things that you don't like because life truly happens and life can happen to anybody. And some of these people did not choose to be this way, but small, daily, little little bouts of being on or little subconscious actions and activities pile up, and before you know it you have a whole new personality that you're not proud of, that you don't like. Bruce Lee, I think it's Bruce Lee said, it's not always about what you add. It's also about what you take out. Not only do you have to be intentional about becoming who you want to be, you have to be intentional about not becoming somebody that you don't want to be. And I'm so stuck on that. I'm so intentional about not being certain people that sometimes if I talk and I sound, and my brain says, you're starting to sound like this person. I say, God forbid. I say, God forbid fast. And I retrace my steps because I am very intentional about not waking up one day and not being able to recognize myself or my values simply because I grew up around this or everybody around me is like this. It's not enough to say I don't want to be like that, I will never be like that. Because many times, even growing up as a child, sometimes you could live for 10 years and come back and see people in the same spot after 10 years. Why? I don't know because I'm still very young. But what I think that you can do to avoid something like that is for you to be very intentional about what you want out of life. Where do you want to go to? And hold yourself to it. Hold yourself to it. I like to be comfortable. I like to chill. But I have this voice in my head that says, not on my watch. Not on my watch. Do you even know what I mean? I will add it to the video. You have to be intentional about what you want. Otherwise, the times will change, the seasons will come and meet you. at that very same spot that you didn't plan for. Not only is it financially, behavior wise, friendship wise, you really can remain in the same space and life can happen to anybody. But you have to be ready to push back, even if you're pushing against yourself. You have to be ready. I cannot stress this enough. You have to be ready to push back. Most times I work at night. Many times at night, sometimes I'm already sleeping, sometimes I'm tired, I don't want to get up. And I ask myself, would you want to be in the same space, the same time next year? The answer is no. So I get up and I do some work. I get up and do some work because my little steps pile up as much as my little not trying piles up. It really adds up. Whatever you do adds up. It really, really does. And I think this video is long enough. And I hope this was useful. Please tell me if there's more things you want to say. This is only one part of my Pick My Mind. I feel like I forgot to add something. So set goals for yourself, set aspirations for yourself. You're free. You have the right. You have approval from God, from the universe. Everything you want exists. Everything you want is possible. You're free to have desires. You're free to have goals, to have ambitions. Even if you don't have any ambitions, you're free to pray for ambitions. Pray for ridiculously impossible things. And my next video will be much better. And I'll talk about ambitions and drive next time. Bye.